The billionaire's voice cut through the air like a blade. "You're all beneath me. Don't waste my time." Every staff member lowered their heads, retreating into silence. All but one. A new waitress, trembling but unyielding, dared to stand her ground. And in that moment, everything changed. The insult fell heavy across the restaurant floor, echoing in the uneasy silence. Plates clinked nervously, hands froze mid-service, and every eye shifted away from the corner booth where the billionaire sat. His presence was as sharp as the tailored suit stretched across his shoulders, his words dripping with contempt for anyone who dared approach him. The staff had learned long ago, avoid him, obey him, and pray he leaves quickly. But tonight, fate had placed someone new in his path. The young waitress steadied the tray in her hands, her knuckles pale against the polished metal. Fear pressed against her chest, but behind it burned something stronger, a resolve that would not bend. She stepped forward, her shadow cutting across the man's table like a line in the sand. The billionaire narrowed his eyes, amused that anyone dared meet his gaze. "You're still standing here?" He sneered. She did not flinch. The weight she carried, her name was Anna. Just 23, yet her eyes carried the depth of someone twice her age. Beneath her uniform sleeves were faint scars from battles far away, where desert winds seared skin and nights echoed with the cries of men she once called brothers. She had been a medic, the one who held hands as life slipped away, the one who stitched wounds while chaos thundered around her. When she came home, silence was her constant companion. She worked small jobs, each shift a step toward normalcy. Yet she carried the faces of those she could not save, their memories stitched into her heart with unbreakable thread. The restaurant had become her refuge. Ordinary noise, clinking glasses, the smell of bread in the oven. It was life at its simplest, fragile but precious. She needed no recognition, no applause, just peace. But peace was a fragile flame, and men like him threatened to snuff it out with every careless word. He was known to everyone, though none dared speak his name aloud in those walls. A man whose wealth built towers of glass across the city, whose arrogance left scars in every room he entered. Staff whispered of waiters reduced to tears, of cooks trembling as they carried dishes he never touched. Power made him untouchable. Or so he believed. Tonight, his voice was louder, sharper, crueler than usual. Perhaps because he sensed that no one would challenge him. Perhaps because deep inside, men who prey on silence fear only one thing. The moment someone finally answers back, Anna stood before him. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. Coworkers shifted uncomfortably, silently pleading with her to walk away. Customers lowered their gazes, unwilling to be caught in the storm. He leaned forward, his smile thin and dangerous. "Do you even know who I am?" Her heartbeat thundered in her ears, yet her voice, when it came, was steady. "I know exactly who you are. And I also know that respect is earned, not bought." The words landed like stones in a still pond, rippling through every soul in the room. The escalation, his face darkened. He was not used to defiance, especially not from someone he deemed beneath him. "Careful," he warned, his tone dripping with menace. "People who cross me don't last long." Anna stood rooted in place, the tray pressed to her side. She thought of the nights in the desert, of holding broken bodies under the stars, whispering promises she couldn't keep. She had already seen the worst of what the world could do. What was one arrogant man compared to that? Inside her mind, the words of a fallen comrade echoed. Real strength is silent. You don't need to shout to stand tall. The billionaire raised his hand, ready to dismiss her with a wave, but something stopped him. Perhaps it was the way her eyes didn't waver. Perhaps it was the quiet dignity in her stance, unshaken by his wealth or his threats. Then, slowly, something remarkable began to happen. A man at a nearby table rose to his feet. He was older, his limp betraying a past he never spoke of. He pressed his hand over his heart and stood in silence. Another followed, and another. Soon, half the restaurant was standing, not with words, not with shouts, but with the quiet power of solidarity. The billionaire looked around, his command of the room dissolving. For the first time, he was the one avoided, the one outnumbered, the one stripped of his false crown. Anna's voice cut through the silence. Calm but unshakable. "Money builds walls," she said softly, "but respect builds bridges. And bridges outlast walls." The older man added quietly, "We salute courage, not cruelty." And then, the line that etched itself into memory, whispered by Anna herself. True power is not in how loudly you speak, but in how deeply others listen. The fall the billionaire tried to laugh, but the sound died in his throat. No one met his eyes. No one feared him now. His wealth meant nothing in the face of silent honor. He rose, rattled, and for the first time in memory, he left without another word. The doors closed behind him, and the room exhaled. Some wept quietly. Others simply nodded, acknowledging the moment without breaking the fragile stillness. Anna set down her tray, her hands finally trembling, not from fear, but from release. She had not shouted. She had not fought. She had only stood her ground, and in doing so, reminded everyone of something they had forgotten. Dignity is not for sale. That night, the restaurant was forever changed. The staff no longer whispered of the billionaire's cruelty. Instead, they spoke of the waitress who refused to bow. Anna returned to her duties quietly, never asking for praise. Yet in the hearts of all who had witnessed, her name became a symbol, not of defiance for its own sake, but of the simple, unshakable truth. Respect belongs to all, and so the story lingers. A reminder to each of us. Wealth may buy silence, but it cannot buy honor. Outro. And perhaps that is the lesson we carry tonight. That strength is not always loud. That sometimes the most powerful stand is taken in silence. Wherever you are watching from, share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe true respect can ever be bought, or is it always earned? If this story moved you, subscribe for more stories that honor the quiet heroes who remind us of what truly matters.